Hello, I'm Ethan,
And my name is Akhil Rajiv.
and today we'll be going over the curious case of MapleTech's supply chain system.
So for the presentation today, our agenda is we will go through the executive summary, the problem statement, and we will do an external analysis using Pestel and Porter's 5 forces technique, and internal analysis and a SWOT analysis. And we will go through the alternatives, and we will provide the recommendation, and we will also present how we implement our final solution.
We begin with a few assumptions about MapleTech for ease of analysis in this case, such as them being headquartered in Canada, as that is the most familiar business scape that we know, and the going concern principle that MapleTech will continue to operate for the near future and is not at any immediate risk of divestment or bankruptcy. And we also assume that the tariffs recently imposed upon Canada and all its allies are here to stay, and they will not go away anytime soon. As it is a turbulent topic and it could change, we shall simply assume that they are here to stay.
So the executive summary. So MapleTech is a Canadian electronics manufacturing firm that specializes on smart home devices and innovations. And their raw materials are majorly supplied from continents like Asia, Europe, and North America. However, recently they have been facing few issues in their operations due to different global events. And events like COVID-19 pandemic, weather uncertainties, and tariff impositions have worsened the condition of their supply chain network. So coming to the problem statement, MapleTech Inc.'s outdated supply chain system is unable to handle the increased workload from external factors, leading to uncertain supply and demand and increased cost, requiring the integration of latest technology to overcome these issues. So now we will do an external analysis of the industry by using the Pestel and Porter's 5 forces. So now we will do a Pestel analysis for the industry. So first one is political. There has been an increased tariff between the countries, and there are several trade wars that are going on in between the major economies. And this has led to the price increase of raw materials such as microchips and batteries. The second one is economic. There is an uncertainty in demand for the finished goods as well as the raw materials all over the world ever since the global pandemic. And the supply chain and inventory management forecasting system of MapleTech is at stake, as it does not accurately predict all the future demands of the end goods as well as the raw materials. Now coming to the social aspect, the customer's preference has been ever changing, and there is an increased demand for smart electronic devices across all age categories. And this preference change is one of the main reasons for the increased demand for MapleTech products. And now coming to the technological aspect, there is the automation of inventory management, delivery processing, and shipping formalities have led to cost reduction and better process alignment, as it reduces a lot of wastage. And predictive analytics using the market data led to an improvement in accuracy of supply and demand metrics. And we could also see that the integration of automation tools and several AI tools and softwares has been a latest trend in logistics management. So now coming to the environmental aspect, the environmental policies across globe and Canada have been outlined to reduce the emission of carbon footprint. And it could be seen that the emission reductions plan of Canada aims to reduce the emission of harmful gases by 45% by the year of 2030. Now on to the legal aspect. There are a high chances of data privacy and intellectual rights property breach all across the world, and a firm like MapleTech should be aware of these policies breaches, and they should take more actions to prevent those events. Now we will do a Porter's five forces analysis. So in Porter's five forces analysis, we will look into 5 different aspects. The first one is threat to new entrants. So here we can consider the threat to new entrants as low to moderate, because MapleTech is an electronic firm that specializes on smart devices and innovative home solutions, and to and it requires high brand popularity and reputation to sustain in the market. Therefore, it's not easy for small firms to come easily in this market. And next one is that it requires huge investment for market penetration, and this also acts as a barrier for small players. In addition to that, there is a microchip shortage, and it is not adequate for the new entrants to create a space for themselves. Next one is supplier power. We feel that the supplier power is high in this case because there are only few reliable vendors for the supply of microchips, motherboards, and batteries. MapleTech could find different suppliers from a new region. However, this could involve huge initial cost. Now the next one is threat to substitution. So threat to substitution is high because there are a lot of market giants like Apple, Google, Amazon, Samsung, etc. And customers could easily switch. The potential customers of MapleTech could easily switch to any of these reputed brands. And cross-product substitution is also another possibility because these days there are a lot of new variety of smart tech devices that are being introduced with the help of technological advancement. Next one is competitive rivalry. In this market, competitive rivalry is very high because there are a lot of key players that are culturally and geographically diverse. And home appliances sector continue to rapidly expand, and therefore a lot of new products are being introduced. And final one is the buyer power. We feel that the buyer power is moderate to high because MapleTech originally has two sets of customers. One is the normal retail customer and other one is the business consumers. So business consumers may show a higher buyer power because they buy their products as batches, whereas normal consumers would have a lower or moderate buyer power. So now we will do an internal analysis using SWOT technique. We cannot do an entire or complete internal analysis because MapleTech is not a real company. Therefore, we have accommodated the internal analysis in the SWOT technique. Now coming to the SWOT analysis. The strength of MapleTech Inc. is that they have suppliers from different regions, which makes the firm more flexible. And the integration of AI in demand forecasting and network optimization has already been started. The weakness of the firm is that they do not have a reliable supplier for microchips. So in the case, it's mentioned that their Taiwan unit was shut down due to weather uncertainties, and they were unable to find microchip manufacturers. And there has been irregularities in forecasting due to the demand uncertainties as well. So now coming to the opportunities, there is an ever increasing opportunity for smart devices sector, and they can diversify their suppliers, and they can expand regionally in search of new suppliers. And there is another opportunities that they could localize their raw material production to overcome the disruptions such as tariff imposition. The threats to MapleTech is that they may fail to meet their sustainability goals because there has been a lot of sustainability policies that has been implemented by the government of Canada, And the next one is that there is an increase in cost of goods and unavailability of resources due to the ongoing trade wars.
Now, with the information gained from that analysis, we have determined 3 important decision criteria for the alternatives that we generate. Number 1 is that the decision must address and mitigate the risk and uncertainty inherent in the market at the moment. Tariffs, supply chain issues, and a generally turbulent market make it difficult to guess what the supply and demand may be in the future. This decision must address these risks and figure out how to deal with uncertainty in a turbulent market. Secondly, it must address the increasing costs without compromising the quality of MapleTech's product. MapleTech prides itself on high-quality home services, and we must maintain that quality while addressing the increasing costs from tariffs and supply chain issues with microchips without compromising on that quality. And thirdly, we must prioritize sustainable practices and explore community responsibility to ensure that MapleTech gives back to the communities it operates within and continues to lower its carbon footprint so that we can work together towards a better world. The first alternative we generated is a full overhaul of MapleTech's supply chain and systems. This would be an extremely high cost but high reward alternative in which MapleTech would purchase or build its own facilities in order to build their own microchips, batteries, and other raw materials for their products in various locations that they operate in. This would be a large-scale plan that would most likely take multiple years in order to enact, but in the end it would make MapleTech a strong player in the industry at the cost of high initial capital investment. The second alternative we came up with was a heavy diversification plan. In this plan, we prioritize adaptability by telling MapleTech to find suppliers all around the world for all of their raw materials, such as microchips and batteries, and create centralized distribution networks in each individual region they operate within. This would require large-scale negotiations in order to find new suppliers and foster positive business relationships with these suppliers, but it would allow MapleTech to be incredibly flexible in their supply chain management, allowing them to dodge around tariffs and supply chain disruptions by going on a large network of distribution and supply chain facilities. The third alternative we came up with was a strategic downsizing for MapleTech. This would heavily decrease the short-term risk, although at the cost of sacrificing their long-term operations. It would increase their capital that they have to play with in order to discuss different ways to redo and revitalize their supply chain, but it may cause stagnation in their industry and stifle further growth. But it allows MapleTech to strategically reposition their business in order to avoid future risk. Our recommendation, in the end, is the second alternative, heavy diversification. It's the most flexible of the plans we came up with, and it requires a lower initial capital commitment compared to the first alternative. It also prevents stagnation in their strategies by continuing to expand without taking on too much initial risk or capital commitment. Our action implementation plan for this heavy diversification begins with a 3-month process of scoping out future suppliers and breaking down the regions in which MapleTech operates, such as North America, Central Europe, or Southeast Asia, depending on where their operations are concentrated. In the 4th month, MapleTech will engage in negotiations with these possible suppliers and decide which partners they would like to go enter a business relationship with, as well as planning out their centralized distribution networks. Between the 5th and 9th months, there will be business trials in order to ensure that the supply chain runs smoothly and leading towards full implementation, allowing MapleTech to charge forward in the industry and invigorate their further growth. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.